Hello, everyone, and welcome to Office Hours. It is Tuesday. It's 9 a.m. This is when we answer questions about Alexa, Alexa development, voice design, all of that stuff. But first, I have a question.
Ooh.
Is it just me, Ryan, or does that 30-second timer run at different speeds every week?
I swear it does. I swear it speeds up and slows down. I've
Yeah,
never actually timed it,
it's
but it
it's
doesn't
weird.
seem
I feel like
consistent.
it seems to take about 30 seconds, but I feel like sometimes it runs really slow or it speeds up and slows down within that 30-second window.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
weird to me. I wonder if anybody else is feeling that. Well, thanks for being here, Ryan. Welcome to the
Of
show.
course.
Yet another new
Yes.
background for you. I like that you move around each week. It's good.
This is the same as last week. I
Is it?
promise. It might
Maybe.
be getting less cluttered as I'm packing stuff up.
Yeah, that could be. That could
So
be. I don't know anything about clutter, so that's good.
this is true. This is true.
And we have Don and Harry Hart and Gavin Watson and Andy Witters is here. Good to see everybody. Yeah, make sure you mute your devices. We'll probably say the A word a couple times. Harry says he has 45 Echo devices. Let's see, up to 45 Echo 4th gen devices, some of them at software level from a year ago. Is there a way to force an update? That's interesting. So you're saying that you have 45 different Echo devices, all of the same generation, and some of them have a software version as much as a year old. That's very odd to me. I would be curious to know, Harry, have those devices been used? Like, have you talked to it? I don't know what the trigger is. I feel like maybe I should know this, but I don't actually they're all Alexa for Business. Okay. I mean, the devices are always on. They're always plugged in. So, Ryan, it feels to me like every device is either receiving some kind of notification from the mothership saying, hey, here's the updated software, or the device pings once in a while, right? Like a couple times a week and just says, hey, is there any new software I need to get? I don't actually know which way.
I feel like I've gotten them to update by just like unplugging them and plugging them back in. Because it should check in like multiple times a day to check it. When we roll out a new update, it's usually pretty quick adoption, or it should be.
Right. And I mean, that's the whole goal of an always connected, always on device, is that OTA software should very easily be sent and transferred and run. Gavin suggests maybe there's a firewall that's in the way, but I would think that they would all have that issue then, unless some of them are on different networks. But that seems like that would be an obvious call out for Harry if he had some on one network and some on another network, and the ones on the specific network aren't working. That would have been one of the first obvious clues to me, but my guess is they probably all share the same network. Witter says that's a lot of muting for 45 devices, and I agree. Honestly, I think in this room, let's see, I don't even know how many I have in here now. 1, 2, 3. There's 4 over there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Mine are all packed up now.
I have 13 in this room, which is too many. And I've noticed now that it's warm here in Ohio, and I've got the air conditioning on already. Like, this room is staying warm, and I think it's because I just have so many things running between the PC.
How many computers do you have in there? Like, you have at least 2 computers. How many computers do you have running in there?
Yeah, I've got 2. The beefy desktop I'm streaming from right now, plus my laptop. I've got a whole soundboard. I've got 2 additional monitors. I've got studio lights up above me. Like, there's things generating heat in this room for sure.
Yes.
And it looks like I don't even have the vent for the air conditioner open, so maybe I should do that too.
Maybe.
So, Harry, I'm going to look into this. I want to go back and I'm going to star your question. I personally need to know the answer to this, and I don't today, which is there a way to force an update, and how would I, what can I do to make a device update itself if it's not doing it automatically? So let me look into that for you, and I will get back to you on that one. Brian Tarbock says, is there any update on send to phone? I've not actually heard anything lately. I'm not even sure if I'm actually on the list for preview and have a would-be paying customer who needs that feature. No, I don't have any updates, sadly. But it is one of those features that I think a lot of people are anticipating. Like, I know I'm anticipating. I want to see if... Yeah, see, it's still developer preview. So I have this page to share. And what I would recommend is, if you haven't, or even if you have already, I would go to this page, and on there is a apply for developer preview link that takes you to a form. And in that form, I would, do you even have the ability to do that? Company name, job title, it's a lot of drop downs. What I would do is probably in the job title box or company name box, I would put customer, very urgent customer need, or something like that. And then I'll dig into that on my side as well. I think that's a really good question. I'm willing to be self-critical here. I know that we talked about a lot of really cool features at Alexa Live last year, and a lot of them have not yet been delivered. And my team is very aware of that. I have regular conversations with them about that exact fact. So I will use this as a talking point to continue to push that story forward. All right. Mustafa Hamsi says, what is the difference between default endpoint and peripheral endpoint in the sample app? If we're talking, are you talking about a smart home skill, or are you talking about a regular, like, custom skill, Mustafa? Because I haven't actually seen the phrase peripheral endpoint, but that suggests to me a smart home thing. But I want to confirm that that's what you mean.
I think he might be referring to, in the AVS device SDK, there's a sample app that does talk about peripheral endpoints.
Got it.
But please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just making an assumption based off of Googling. Yeah, he just said it's part of the AVS device SDK.
That Andy said that?
No, Mustafa.
Oh, he's just further down? Yeah. AVS device SDK. Man, it would be nice if we had Andy here today. Maybe he could talk a little bit more about that.
I know.
Well, let's... I don't know the answer, actually, between what a default endpoint and a peripheral endpoint is. I was trying to look it up. In the Alexa skills world, the custom skills world, the endpoint is just, where does your Lambda live? I wonder if and again, I'm kind of speculating here, but is the endpoint still your backend service, and the peripheral endpoint is the address of the device? Because you would need both in a smart home skill, both to know where the device is and where the service that runs all the things are, right? But I do not know officially the answer to that. We'll dig in on that. And speaking of Andy not being here, this might be a good time, Ryan, to have a conversation about other people not being here.
Yeah, we can.
Right.
Yeah, so I am unfortunately leaving Amazon in a couple weeks, so you will not see my face on here anymore, which is really, really sad. But
it is really sad. You were part of the crew, but I understand you've got some cool opportunities out in front of you, and that's how things go in the world of software. We find new companies, new opportunities, new projects, and it's going to be awesome. So we'll be sad to see you go, but excited for your future.
Yeah.
If people want to keep up with you, is there a good way to connect?
You can always follow me, connect with me on LinkedIn and find all my things going on. But yeah, I'm on Twitter and a couple other places. I'm not super active, but I am on there. You can reach out and I will respond if people chat with me. I'm just not a prolific tweeter. But yeah, I had to say, this is one of the most inviting, welcoming communities I've ever seen, and I've been really, really proud to be a part of it. And just seeing how everyone comes together and helps. Like what I absolutely love, and I talked about this all the time. We come on here and we try to answer questions, and usually by the time we even get to the question, someone from the community has already answered it. And same with Slack. I go on Slack and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to answer some questions, and I have a really hard time finding questions that are unanswered because you all help each other out tremendously, and it's really awesome. This is a really really cool community.
It is amazing. Well, we're sad to see you go, and hopefully we'll see you poke your head into Slack or something like that once in a while. It'd be great.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
I'm finding references, by the way, I'm finding references to peripherals in the AVS documentation in reference to like third-party companion apps. Or like LED. Here's another example. I'm using our new search. We released new search functionality, and it's actually really, really awesome. Use peripherals such as an LED or a fan. Man, this would have been a great week to have Andy on. I'm trying to, yeah. Let me keep digging into this. Sorry, we can continue on the questions, but I'll keep seeing if I can find something else.
No, that's all right. So Ethan Richardson has a pretty deep APL question, and so he has a touch wrapper, and inside there, when he's using a Fire TV and the remote control specifically on the Fire TV, and he pushes, he wants a way to control the next touch wrapper item to get focus in an APL dock when using the Fire TV. As it stands next, the closest item in the layout gets focused when pressing right on the remote control. Man, I haven't even played with any of my APL interfaces with a Fire TV yet. I probably should do that, but I don't even know what kind of events are fired, Ethan, when someone pushes like the right button on an APL interface. I haven't thought about. I've only ever really considered what touch interfaces look like and respond to. I love that you're going deep on this, and I should have gone this deep as well. But I'd love to know. I mean, you must be receiving some kind of event fire, right? And then it's just a matter of capturing that event, or do you not get to interpret any of the events from the remote, and it's just automatically, as you push right, it just selects the next thing in the touch wrapper without giving you the ability to select it? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, this feels to me like the old browser problem of like tab indexes.
Tab index, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And I mean, it's amazing to me still. I'll run into a website where they clearly did not think about tab indexing, and just how bad it can be. You jump just all over the form as you go. But I'm just curious, Ethan, because I don't know the answer to this about what kind of events happen when someone pushes a remote control button. I'm going to have to play with this. This is cool. Like I said, we've talked about this in previous episodes of Office Hours. I have a Fire TV hooked up at home. I don't use it regularly, but I do use it for playing with Alexa once in a while on the TV. And I haven't used one of my skills there. I probably should do that and see what happens when I push the buttons on the remote. That's an experiment for this weekend, I think. Actually, maybe not this weekend. For those of you that haven't heard, I have a ton of crazy travel coming up. And on Saturday, I'm leaving for Berlin. I have to go there for 4 or 5 days to do a shoot. If you guys haven't been watching these Alexa Innovators videos that we've been putting together, we've published 2. The third one is almost done. And there should be a couple of more out before the summer. But I'm going to Berlin to shoot one of those. And then
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have time to visit Blankenberg Castle?
So I worked this out. There is a castle in a town called Blankenberg. It is Blankenberg Castle. And I think you and I have talked about this. Like, I'm the firstborn. Yes. My dad was the firstborn. My grandfather was the firstborn. Like, it goes back quite a way. And I got to figure I just show up with a driver's license, and I just get it. They just give me the castle. That's how I would imagine it works. But I miscalculated. I forgot that there are multiple cities in Germany called Blankenberg. And so I just did a quick search on a map. I was in Berlin, and I searched Blankenberg, and it was like, oh, it's 2 hours away. And I was like, oh, sweet. And I didn't really think at all about the fact that there are multiple. The one I want is in the Harz mountain range, Harz, and it's about a 3-hour train ride. That feels like that's more of a commitment that I can make during this trip.
All
It's 3
right,
hours each
next
way,
time.
and I don't think it drops me off at the castle. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get there another time. But I
I
definitely
know
want.
this is yeah, I know this is an important thing to cross off at
Oh
some
yeah,
point.
it's on my list for sure. But yeah, so I probably will not be going to Blankenberg Castle, unfortunately.
All right.
But so doing some days in Berlin, then I come back immediately. My daughter graduates from high school, and we're going on a trip to Hawaii. And then I'm coming back through Seattle for a few days for some meetings and things. And I'm home for like 3 days, and then I have to fly to Paris. I know this sounds awful to everybody, but I have to go to Paris. We're doing a couple more episodes there with a couple of interesting skill companies. And then we're going to Amsterdam for a couple of days to do a third one. So that week's going to be a crazy amount of shooting and stuff. And then I have to go back to London in July. So it's a lot of trips to Europe, which is not normal for me. I'm all over the United States usually, but lots of Europe trips this year. Anyway, I don't even remember why I was talking about traveling. Oh yeah, because I'm probably not going to get a chance to work on this APL stuff soon, but I will definitely take a look. Okay. So I don't have a great answer for you, Ethan. I'll look to see if you have some more answers for me later. Okay. So actually, I'm going to scroll down and find your stuff now. The focus goes to the next closest item with a touch wrapper. There are no events fired for what I know so far. That's disappointing. It feels like there should be some kind of button press or some kind of directional something. I'm going to add that to my list of things to talk to the APL team about, because that should be documented. If that's a true interface for using APL, which I would believe it is, then we should have that documented on how you manage that and what the expected behaviors should be. All right, moving on. Jolwork says, hi guys, while we're on updates, any updates on the Alexa Gadgets Toolkit? On December 31st, 2021, we paused support for third-party device makers working with Alexa gadgets. No, I don't believe that there are any updates or any unpausings or anything like that. I know for the most part, what I've heard is that Alexa gadget support is more or less discontinued. But the fact that the terminology uses the word pause support suggests that it would become resumed at some point. But I'm not aware of anything that would suggest that it's coming back anytime soon. So another thing for me to dig into, but I don't know the answer. I'm like 0 for 5 today. This is great. I guess I do know the answer, which is disappointing, which is I don't believe there's going to be future support, but I don't officially have that word. So Andy Muncie on LinkedIn says, can I ask if Alexa shopping actions is open to all developers yet? I know
ask.
No, yeah. It's not. It's not the answer you want, but no, it is not. But I believe that is something that is coming relatively soon. So, if it's not available in the next couple of months, I would be very surprised. But I'm not promising that it will be available in the next couple of months. But that would be my expectation, is that it's sooner than later.
This is sad.
Laldi Labs says, I had to abandon APL for now in a skill that's really crying out for visuals because I can't send APL render document and dialog delegate in the same response. The dialogs are quite complex, so I need my custom dialog manager. Any suggestions for a workaround? Yes, get the product team to support both. That's what I would recommend. No, this has been a problem for quite a while, and there isn't unfortunately a workaround for that today. If you're using dialog delegation, that means that you cannot send in other render document commands. So no, there's not a workaround today, unfortunately. And if you're leaning in hard on dialog management, then you're leaning out on APL, unfortunately. But that being said, for those situations, those circumstances, you could use the old display templates interface, because while it's been deprecated, it's still available. And display templates don't give you the control that you had before, but you could use a number of hackeries to get around that. One would be to make custom images that render the way you want them to, and you just use the template that shows a full screen image. So then you could have any layout you want because you're just creating images. But if you need customized APL that changes dialogue to dialogue, that's harder, obviously. Another option would be to use the cards interface. So very early on, pre-APL, people used to make cards that they would send to the mobile app. And when APL devices, when screened devices were introduced, they also display those cards. Again, not a rich interface, not a lot of customization, but at least a way that you could put something on the screen. And so those two can be done in conjunction with dialogue delegation, but APL cannot. So this is a scream loud and clear for me that those two. I mean, you're not the first person to bring this up. It's just not something I've thought about in a little while because it's just the way it's been. But I will again forward this to the APL team to remind them that, hey, by the way, this still doesn't work. Mustafa and Gavin and Jalwork all express their condolences, Ryan, that you're leaving.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug DeVitris here. Doug, welcome. Says, sorry, not a smart home skill question. Is there a new framework to create a video-based skill and APL for Amazon Fire TV? Doug's doing a bunch of interesting stuff. If you guys don't know Doug, I would recommend tuning into what he's doing on things like LinkedIn and Twitter. He's got some interesting content he's creating. Is there a new framework to create a video-based skill and APL? No, I'm not aware of one. I mean, there is the ability to create video skills using APL. There is also a video skill type where if you're just pushing videos out, you could just use that, and then you don't need the APL. And I don't believe there's anything customized or specific for Amazon Fire TV. It would be like any other APL skill. So that's the core of my answer. Maybe if you give me more, maybe I can help you more, but I don't have a great answer for you on that other than no, I'm not aware of anything new.
Yeah, you should be able to use the video component and APL to do quite a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I was playing a lot with, to be able to show videos and be able to navigate and add buttons on top of it.
Right. And if you don't need the video, if you don't need the APL part of that, then you could use the video skill template, the video skill type, right? You can choose custom skill, you can choose audio skill, video skill, Q&A skill. There's like 7 or 8 of them. You could just use the video skill, and then like a lot of the work of like navigating between videos and pause and play and rewind and all that is all built in. And all you need to do is basically provide a library of videos, but you don't have the visual design control that you would get with APL. So something to think about too. Okay. So Ethan, I'm just starring the rest of your conversation, but we're going to have to forward that to the appropriate team. Brian Tarbox is also on the market, he says. If you guys haven't gone there recently, there are literally a ton of, maybe not literally, I don't know that you can measure the weight of job openings, but there are lots and lots of job openings on the Alexa team specifically, and many more across the Amazon organization. So if you guys haven't gone to Amazon.jobs recently and looked around, done a little searching, I would recommend it. There's a lot of cool, interesting opportunities. There it is. I was looking for that. Amazon.jobs is what you're looking for, and you can search for Alexa or whatever it is that you're looking to get into. But I mean, so many, like just within Alexa, I think there's a couple thousand openings. So take a shot, see what you can find. Okay. Let's see.
Hey, Witters, I'll still go to London and take a beer. Like,
there you go.
Don't worry.
Hey, Witters says I was going to buy you a beer in London too. Sorry to hear you leaving, but when new opportunities arise, they need to be grasped. Totally agree. And Habuma said, wait, I left the room to grab some cashews and return to find out Ryan's leaving? Yeah. So, Ryan, you are well loved, and everybody seems very sad to see you go.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a really great community.
it is. All right. Angerful on Twitch says, "Hi, I'm Emmanuel from Nigeria. Recently, I started curating smart homes for a couple of friends, and it's been difficult because there's no support for Amazon in Nigeria. How can this be solved? Thank you. I'm new, and it's been an amazing experience so far." Um, I uh, I think what you're saying is there's no support for Alexa in Nigeria, but you should be able to create an Amazon account in a locale that has the language you prefer. I Off the top of my head, I apologize. I do not know what the native language of Nigeria is. I'm assuming, I mean, your English is fantastic. So if it's not the native language, it's at least a close second. But Alexa supports a large number of languages. So what you could do is get an Echo, create an account in the locale that language is supported. So let's say, most people speak French there or whatever. I apologize that I don't know the language. But if you want French, then you just set up a French Amazon account, and then you can use all of the Alexa skills that are available in France, as well as all the smart home stuff that would be available there as well. So Alexa will work anywhere on Earth, but it doesn't have like native Nigerian support. Then you would have to pick a place that works best for you in the language that you most prefer. But that would be my recommendation. But you should be able to do it that way. You would just not be able to use a I don't even know if there is an Amazon in Nigeria at all. But that's how it would have to work. Is you'd have to have an account for the locale of the language you want to use, and then you should be able to do everything that you're hoping to do, I think. I know that happened quite frequently in India before we supported India and Hindi and English there, is that people would buy US devices. They would set them up as US English devices. They would use all of the US English skills, but they would actually be based in India. So it doesn't, the device doesn't care where it is, but it does care what kind of account you set up for sure. Let's see. Mustafa. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Mustafa, if you're not on Slack, you can hop on Slack there. There are a couple different smart home channels that Andy is pretty frequent on, and you can definitely ping him there and get some answers. Hey, look, there's Slack.
Look at that.
So I would recommend that. I think that might be a good choice. Andy will be back on some week, but he's usually checking Slack pretty well. Or if Andy can't help you, then one of the other community members would probably be able to help you as well.
Got it. Yeah, I think Slack is probably the best way. It allows you to have longer running conversations too. But Andy is, his last name is Haldeman. He is definitely there in Slack. And there is a smart home channel, which I would recommend jumping in there, and you could just ask your questions. Andy will see them, but also the rest of the people that are working on smart home stuff will see it too. And that's one of the most powerful parts about Slack, is that the people that are all working on that stuff together answer each other's questions. As Ryan mentioned earlier, like the community is just amazing around this stuff. And so the support and help and generosity that people give with their time is just amazing. Ethan Richardson, this is an interesting word you used. How does the Alexa Champion scheme work? What is the criteria, and how does someone become an Alexa Champion? So Ethan, this is a complicated answer. I'll do my very best to answer this for you. Each year, the Alexa Champions program is supposed to have a renewal period where everybody that is currently an Alexa Champion kind of reapplies, recertifies, goes through the process. And we also look for new candidates, applicants, things like that. It is generally a recognition program of something someone has already done. So it's more like an award than it is a obligation. But the idea behind being an Alexa Champion is you have done some amazing things in the community. Might be something like just being incredibly helpful in Slack, or building some really cool skills or building skill templates. I know, for an example, like Alexander Martin is an Alexa Champion because of his work on APL Ninja, right? He built this amazing resource for the community, helped really grow and embrace the idea of APL and templates and being able to help people learn and grow from each other. And that had a major contribution into getting him status as a champion. There are some things I should share, though, which are that we have had a little bit of turnover on our team, and right now there is not a we're working on this actively, but there's not a dedicated owner for the program. So while I would normally have expected there to be a new what was the word I'm looking for? New nomination period right about now. We have not started that process because we don't have anyone like running through the paces of all that stuff right now. That being said, we are actively solving that problem. We're just a little behind. So that is something that we'll be working on. But there is not a specific list of criteria. There's not like a checklist you can go through and say, I checked all 10 boxes, I should be in. It is a very specific process. There's a number of factors that go into it. And all I can say is that contributing to the ecosystem and the community are major factors in being able to be nominated and selected. So that's probably the best bit of feedback I can give you right now on that. But as more information comes out, as we have our nomination period open, I will make sure to mention that stuff here so you guys can nominate yourselves or others if you see somebody that seems like they should be there. Doug wants to know, I have a ton of content loaded into Airtable, and I was wondering which template on GitHub to use. Ryan, is there a GitHub template for a video skill, like a video APL skill?
Yes. I was first looking up, you have lots of examples of using Airtable in your GitHub, so I was actually looking up
Got it.
there. But let me switch gears. I thought your Alexa skill template you had.
My starter Alexa skill template does have the Airtable connectivity stuff in there.
Yeah, it does.
But what it doesn't have is any video stuff.
Right. Yeah. So you have to stitch together a couple different.
So
I
have a link to my Star Wars repo that I'll share. That has both. There is APL with video in there, and there is Airtable stuff. So Doug, take a look at that. I've just posted that in the comments. Hopefully that will help. Again, I wouldn't just wholesale just take it and use it, but you should be able to pick and choose the stuff that you want out of that. Lolly Labs thinks cards or display templates might solve their problem. That's good. Habuma makes a really good point that I hadn't considered. For Lolly Labs, who was talking about dialogue management and APL at the same time, if you were to convert over to Alexa Conversations, you would get the same kinds of dialogue management you were looking for, well, more advanced actually, but you would also be able to use APL. That's a really good bit of feedback of them. I mean, there's more work there, right? I was trying to avoid the convert to Alexa Conversations story, but I think that that's a really good point to be made. And Doug says, love you too, man. Glad I can help with that. Doug and I are actually old friends. I met him years and years ago, probably in my first year here at Amazon. We met up at a user group and sat and talked for a while. It was pretty cool. Good guy. I think I've brought his book on screen before. I won't do that again, but I do have. He's written some books on like connecting over video and a bunch of other interesting stuff. So yeah. Okay. I think we've caught up. Oh wait, no, it jumped up forward. No, we didn't. Okay.
That just happened to me as well a couple minutes ago.
Wow. Okay.
Really lost.
Harry, let's see. Okay, yeah. So Harry wants to know, are there any export laws that might prevent me from sending an Echo device to my dev team in Pakistan? So I'm not aware of any laws that would be in the way of sending an electronic device to another place. But, of course, obviously check with the local officials or websites or whatever in Pakistan. But I would imagine they have electronics sent to them all the time, especially consumer-based electronics. The catch that you'll find, and this has just been my own personal experience, especially with our champions, we will send them new devices once in a while or other packages of swag or sweatshirts or hats or stuff like that. And customs in some countries is just near impossible. I'll give you an example. We made these cool sweatshirts and jackets and some other things, and I sent them to our Alexa team in London. Now, this is London, right? Like you big metropolis, like lots going on. I would imagine a very efficient postal service of some kind. And the guy wasn't even notified that it had arrived for 6 weeks. And they said, we'll keep it for 2 days. Now, obviously, it hadn't taken 6 weeks to get there. It got there in like 10 days. But it sat in customs for a while, probably sat in a port for a while. Finally got to his local post office, and they said, hey, you have 2 days to pick this up. But he was out of town. So he couldn't get there in those 2 days. They wouldn't hold it for him. So they mailed it all the way back to me, which took another 8 weeks. And so when I got it, the box was just, it looked like someone had kicked it from London to my house. And the story that I'm trying to express here is that it's probably not any export laws or anything like that, but oftentimes customs will hold it up because they all want their cut. And so there's always some tax obligations or something else weird. I've sent devices to people in other parts of the world, and they say they want the equivalent of like $250 to get my box. I'm not going to pay $250 for it, so I'm going to let them return it to you. It's not always something you can even predict. So that would be my only concern for you, is that customs probably will want to tax the import of that thing into their country. And there probably is a way where you can prepay those taxes so that they get through. But what you'll find in a lot of countries, I'm not speaking specifically for Pakistan or anywhere else, but in a lot of countries, there is a bit of corruption. And so you will find that even though you've prepaid taxes or whatever, they still want you to pay some additional amount once it arrives. Or they'll try to collect on both sides. Yeah, you paid, but we don't need to tell them that. And the person that's picking it up also has to pay. So just keep that stuff in mind. But no, there shouldn't be any specific rules against that I'm aware of. That's a long story, I guess, but that's my thought. Let's see. Jim B245 on Twitch. I'm wondering if conversations would provide a way around the limitation on combining. There's a word I don't know.
He later clarifies it's the search query with other slot types. So having like one intent as search query another, and it doesn't. Conversations doesn't have a solution to that. Although you can create more like a dialogue back and forth where you say, I want to search for, and then your search query, and then have conversations come back and say, well, what category or where do you want to search that? Like you can use a conversation to collect that additional slot, but not in one statement.
Yep. That makes sense. Yes. Search query slot is still very, very thirsty, very gravitational. And so if you still have 4 things you need to fill, Alexa Conversations is good about like, okay, cool, I've got the search query, but now I need the other 4 values. In the same way that dialogue management can do a lot of that stuff for you, but it doesn't change how the search query slot works. I think Ryan said that right.
Yeah.
Laldi Labs, thanks, Abuma. I'll look for that next version. I published a couple of AC skills, but I found it very fragile, easy to break, and hard to debug. Worth another look though for what it brings. Thanks. That's good. Good feedback. Doug says, thanks for the tip on Slack. I guess I can take that banner down. Doug, if you didn't know that Slack existed, I'm glad you do now. Let's see. Hubuma says, I found AC to be quirky, especially when creating the conversational model in the UI, but ACDL makes it much better and addresses, if you guys don't know, ACDL is Alexa Conversations descriptive language. It's basically a markup for creating Alexa Conversations stuff. It's kind of like the behind the scenes intermediate language for creating Alexa Conversations. That said, ACDL only works when using Lambda hosted skills, and it frustrates me that I can't use ACDL with Alexa hosted. Frustrates me also, Habuma. I will add that to my list of feedback. These are the things, like, you guys may not realize this, like, you're here asking questions and, hey, I need help, and hey, how do I do this thing, and how do I solve this problem? But I want to let you guys know that we do take this feedback that you're providing to us and take it to our product teams, take it to the owners of these features and say, look, developers are struggling. They're frustrated by whatever this stuff is. Now, it doesn't always just turn things on a dime, but I can assure you they are being made aware of what you guys are looking for. Oh, let's see. Laldi says the Lambda requirement doesn't bother me at all. I've almost abandoned Alexa hosted because of the things like no way to protect secrets. Secret protection is a concern of mine as well. And you don't have you don't have full control over the Dynamo table, so it's only good for user state. Agreed. Laldi, who is in the UK, says a very efficient postal service in the UK. Nope. Gavin Watson also laughs at that. But A. Witters says the London postal thing sounds odd. I've had a lot of overseas packages delivered and not had anything like that. It is not a one-time experience for me. I've sent multiple things to the UK, and almost every time it gets held up for a long, long time. Mustafa, so this is perfect. So you've made it into the Alexa community Slack. That's perfect. What you're going to see is a list of channels on the left. There's some like, I think there's one for Twitter and for YouTube and some other stuff. And if you go to the top, it says channels. And then next to channels, there's a little plus sign. If you click on the plus sign, it'll ask you to browse all of the other channels. And this is for everybody. If you guys don't know, there's probably 30, 40 different channels there, but you by default only see about 8 or 10 of them. And if there are channels in that list that you browse through that you want, just click and add them, and then they will show up on your left-hand side. But you have full control over what channels you see, but we didn't want to make everything default to everyone. So there are a lot of good channels with a lot of good conversations happening, but you have to go find them. And so they are all there.
Yeah, there's 2 channels specifically for you. There's an AVS channel and there's a smart home channel. The AVS channel is probably the best place to start. But both those, I think, would be really interesting to be a part of those conversations long term. And Andy's in both those.
And then lastly, we have another one from Brian Tarbox, a feature request. I can't currently do a progressive display update in response to an APL button press. That's because the button press sends a full new request to your skill, right? So you can't just do a progressive update to it. Ryan Kaufman said he didn't know about all the other channels. That's awesome. That's why I thought maybe everybody would value that little tip. That's great. So here's something else. I don't know if I have this as oh, I do. Cool. Are you guys aware of this website, alexa.design/uservoice? If you have feature requests, and please, you're welcome to bring them to us here or bring them in Slack or wherever. But if you want them to be officially logged and cataloged and provided to our product team on a monthly basis, Ryan, did you get the email yesterday? I don't know if you're on that list.
Yes, I am.
So part of our DAG team, the developer advocacy group, the people that answer the contact us requests and monitor the forums and a bunch of other stuff, they also own this User Voice website. And if you guys aren't familiar with User Voice, it's a place you can go in and submit your requests, your feature requests. You can also vote up the things that other people have submitted. So you can say, yeah, that's really important to me. I want to add a vote to that. And then they generate a report from that data every month and provide that to not only us, but to the product team as a whole to let them understand what people are looking for, what the latest features or requests or things are. And so if you have a specific feature request, like it doesn't do this, but I need this thing to happen, that's the place to go. So please, if you're not using User Voice today for this is just feature requests, right? If there's a bug or you have an issue or a question or whatever, it's not that. It's just meant like, hey, I really wish Alexa did X, Y, or Z. That's what it's for. So yeah, check out User Voice if you haven't been there before. All right, we've gotten all caught up and we have 16 minutes left. What else can we talk about these days? I had another thing that I wanted to bring up, and it's completely escaped me. Oh, well, we have another question, but I was also going to bring up that I had to wait for Ryan to leave to make it official. That's not true. But I have been itching to get back to doing live coding on a pretty regular basis, and so it's probably not going to be consistent, at least with all the travel I have in the near future. But I'm going to be popping on at least a couple of days a week now, and just like showing my progress on the casino more than anything else. So that is what I'll be working on. If you guys want to tune in, you can find me on Twitch. But I'll be doing all that stuff here in the very, very near future. Maybe even this week. We'll see.
Yeah, for everyone who's following along my internet saga, I am still moving, and I will have in Kirkland. I found a place in Kirkland, and one of my requirements was it has to have fiber, and so I'll have 2 gigs up and down symmetrical.
Nice.
So I'll be happy.
Yeah,
But I
that'll
won't be
be
on here every week, so you won't see me in like super HD on
right. Well,
here.
are you still going
Darn.
to do any kind of live coding? I know you were kind of digging that when you were doing it for a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I have no idea what my new schedule is gonna be like, so I need to figure that out. But I would love to continue. I'm a coder. I'm gonna be coding no matter what. So I definitely need to figure
Cool.
that out. This job has definitely grown a passion for that, which I didn't think I would really enjoy it as much as I actually did. It's super fun to get out there. And then people like Jawwork would jump on and help me out. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's always cool. There's nothing like pair programming with 20 other people. It's great.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. I mean, you have so much imposter syndrome to get over to like start going, but once you realize that people are kind and supportive and they just want to help you, it's pretty fantastic. Laldi, I saw your question on Slack about caching with APL. I have had that same experience, and I don't believe that there is a way to effectively. I liked your solution, which was a query string variable on the end of your MP3.
Mm.
But there is not a specific like prescribed way to prevent caching or to clear caching. But I do know, especially for APL, when you're feeding video or audio files in, it is it can cache them from time to time. And I don't know the behavior in which the hows or whys, because like you said, every other device is playing the refreshed one. This one happens to be caching. I don't know the answer to that. It could just be that you're on an older version of APL. I know we talked earlier about some people having some older firmware on their devices, but I don't know outside of what you use, which is, if you guys don't know, he had an MP3 and an APLA document, and it wasn't refreshing on one specific device. So he just added a query string, which was foo equals bar, and then all of a sudden the caching went and retrieved the new file, because obviously the query string wouldn't affect what file we're going to or retrieving. So very cool solution. Good idea. But no, I don't know how to prevent or reset caching on devices, but I have seen it myself. Phelps Inc. wants to know what. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you'd almost want caching on your devices. Like it would like the more caching you can do, I would lean into it really, really heavily. Every time you upload like a new version of it, I would rename the file or give it a different version or something but I would let the caching happen, because S3 costs can skyrocket, CDN costs can skyrocket. The more caching, the better for your skill. That said, I wish it was documented and made more clear exactly what the caching like was doing, so that you could work with it better. But
and it's especially frustrating in development when you are swapping out a file and you're like, why didn't it change? Like, I just gave it a whole new audio file. Like, I think it's the development process that's annoying, but I agree with you. Like, caching should be your default as much as you possibly can. I've even seen people move a lot of their files out to like a CDN to really reduce the costs on how they're managing and pushing those files around. All right, Phelps Inc. asked, what conferences will Alexa have a presence at this year? So there are a few coming up that we will have a booth, and like we'll actually have recruiters there, as well as a couple of solution architects or solution engineers out there. Software development engineer. I don't know why I said solution. Anyway, the events off the top of my head that Alexa will be at. There's an event in Wisconsin at the end of July called That Conference. I know it sounds strange, but it's actually called That Conference. You can find it at thatconference.com. It's in Wisconsin. It's a wonderful software development conference. I would expect 1,500, maybe 2,000 people to be there, plus families. It's held in an indoor water park, which certainly doesn't hurt in the middle of summer. So that's one. There's a big voice event called the Voice Summit that is coming up in October in Washington, D.C. We will most certainly be at that. And then there are a couple more. There's one in Louisville, Kentucky called Code Palooza. It's like Lollapalooza, but with code. And I believe we'll be at that one. There's also Tech Bash, which is just north of Philly. I don't remember when that is, but you can find them if you look up Tech Bash. It is also held in an indoor water park. I'm trying to think if there's any others that stand out to me.
Jeff prioritizes the conferences in an indoor water park.
I do.
So
I go to like 3 a year. So no, they're fantastic venues. It's an indoor water park, but they also have a huge convention center attached.
Yeah, what I like about, and I went to that conference last year, it's a great family friendly conference. You bring your entire family, they have fun in the water park, you have fun listening to, presenters talk about code. It's a great time.
And one of the cool things that they do, all these water park conferences do, is they have a kids track. And so a lot of the professional developers and speakers that are at the event will also do a kid session. Yeah. So like I did an Alexa one where we sat, and for an hour, I just showed them all the cool things that kids can do with Alexa, right? Using blueprints, building their own skills, being able to just play, like think about some of the games that are available out there. Because sometimes you just don't know. You have Alexa at home and you ask it for jokes and weather and music, but you never really dig in deeper on it. And once I showed kids blueprints, we wrote a story as a group of 60 kids. It was absolutely crazy. And I think it's still available on in the store. So I think it's called Pickle Battle. That's the name they picked for the story. But if you want to hear that story that was written by 60 kids at once, it's called Pickle Battle. And so you can just say open Pickle Battle to your device and you can hear it. Anyway, I think those are the events that off the top of my head are coming up. But I'm sure there will be a couple more that sprinkle in there. The ones I would recommend, honestly, is if you can get to Wisconsin, that conference is fantastic. The Voice Summit, if you want a very voice-specific industry-style event where people are talking about all the unique ways that voice is being used, not just on devices like Alexa, but all over the place. But, obviously, like smart speakers is a big part of it. The Voice Summit is the place to be. Jawworks' nephew lives in Kirkland. A. Witters has a friend in Kirkland, and Lully Labs has a frying pan from Kirkland, which I think is actually Costco, right?
Probably Costco, yeah.
Yeah, which is based in Seattle. So there you go. It's everything wins. So Mustafa says, device SDK live coding sessions would be super cool. I have not dove deep on the device SDK. That might be fun to play with, but I'll talk with Andy too about what we could do to do some interesting live coding sessions there. When is the next Alexa developer conference? Mustafa says. Well, there's some confusion there. There was an event many years ago called the Alexa Developer Conference, which actually was not put on by Amazon. It has since become an event called Project Voice. And Project Voice just happened recently. It was maybe a month or so ago. So I don't think that's what you meant, though. You probably mean Alexa Live, which is the event that we do each summer, kind of late July-ish. And the dates and event itself have not been announced at all for this year. So I can't tell you whether or not it's going to happen. But that's for another time. No official word or announcements yet about Alexa Live 2022. Habuma...
I don't know that.
I know. Habuma says he's presenting at UberConf in July.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. And Progressive Web Experience in December. And he's on the NFJS, the No Fluff Just Stuff tour, mostly about spring, but we'll have to see if we can get some more Alexa content in there. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Ryan Kaufman wants to know why the Alexa developer certification. This is on AWS. There was a certification test you could take. Mm-hmm. Why was it discontinued? I don't have a specific idea about it, but I do know that they're very expensive to maintain and update the tests for those things. Because as new features are released, those things start to cycle in. They have to write questions. They have to audit them. Like it's a lot. I actually got to help write the first certification exam. And it is a exhaustive process to make sure that questions are valid and that they're not asking questions that are too hard or too easy. And it's amazing. And so my suspicion, though I don't have any official word on this, is that there weren't enough people taking it to justify the cost and expense that goes into creating and managing an exam like that. But that's only my best suspicion. I don't actually know. Gavin says he went to an event in London 3 or 4 years ago. He can't remember what it was called, but it was a good event. Was it put up by Amazon or was it a separate thing? I've been to London a couple times to speak about Alexa, but it was never for an official event we did. There was a cool developer event called the Bacon Conference, and it was legitimate. I don't even think the bacon.
Oh, yeah.
But I spoke at that once in London, and
I forgot about that one.
If you're in Europe, there's another event that I really love. Again, not voice specific, not Alexa specific, but as software development conferences go. If you guys haven't seen the NDC conferences, there's one in Oslo, there's one in Morocco, there's one in Sydney, there's one here in the U.S. in Minnesota. The NDC events are really good if you're just looking for software development conferences to go to. But then there's one that it started in Belgium. It's called Techorama. I've spoken at that 2 or 3 times, and they're doing another one. I want to say in Amsterdam, maybe. Techorama, Netherlands. That sounds right to me. But anyway, Techorama is also a good event. So if you're in the European area, those are events to look into. NDC and Techorama. There's lots of other good events there too. There's if you're into Android development at all, or mobile development, or even device development, DroidCon is a good event. Obviously, pretty heavily focused on Android, but it has a lot of other interesting stuff there as well. Talked about Alexa there. A-Witters went to an Amazon London invite-only event back in 2018. Andrea Mattoni was part of that. Nice. Andrea was fantastic. Laldi Labs was there too. Very cool. So there's so many good conferences. I wish I could go to all of them. But with everything else going on and all the other work that we need to do, it's hard to get everywhere all the time.
Plus, you like spending time with your family. So
yeah, I mean, if you want to have families and stuff like that, like I said, I mean, my daughter's graduating high school, so this is a crazy time right now. We're finishing finals up, and like she graduates next Saturday, so I'm not missing that.
So exciting.
School is actually next Wednesday. I'm flying home from Berlin on that day to get home in time for them to get out of school. So yeah, good times. All right. I think that's it for us today. I don't think we have any other questions, but lots and lots of great events. Maybe we should start an events channel on Slack for people that are like, hey, I'm going to this conference, or is anybody else?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be a cool way to meet up and find each other when we're out in the real world. With that, we're going to sign off for today. Ryan, any last words of wisdom for everyone?
Oh boy, that's a lot of pressure. No, just keep the community awesome. Like, please keep helping new people. Please keep sharing. Please keep doing what you're doing. It's super awesome and super beneficial because we can't do it all. So the community is really, really awesome. So thanks everybody. I appreciate all the love and support you've given me too. You've helped me on board to Alexa as well. So
yes, you will certainly be missed, man. Thank you for being here, and thank you to everybody for tuning in, being a part of this awesome community. Angerful says his question was skipped. I have a minute. I want to go back.
No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to skip him.
Angerful.
Just our comments thing sometimes jumps around, and so we try very, very hard not to miss any questions. So a crying emoji.
He had the question about Nigeria. We talked about that.
Is there another one?
And I don't see another one. I don't see another one.
Oh no.
Angerful, we definitely talked about that Nigeria one. If you missed it, my recommendation was that you set up an Amazon account in a country that uses the language that you prefer to speak. And we support, it's like 11 or 12 languages at this point in a number of locales. And you can set up a device in Nigeria with that account, and it'll speak to you in that language and do all that stuff. So that would be my recommendation, unless there was another question that I just am not seeing here. He says he's going to post again. I mean, I'm willing to take an extra minute if I missed your question, but if it was the thing about running a device in Nigeria, that is my recommendation. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna give it a 30-second countdown. We'll see what we get. But yeah, Slack would be the place to go if you have other questions, Engerfol, ENGRFOL on Twitch. You can always find us in Slack, and you can ask the question there. And obviously, honestly, a lot of the people here in the group might be able to help you answer it as well. Okay, 10-second countdown. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. We'll see you on Slack. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.